Baby, let me tell you something that'll make your teacup shake. You ever seen folks walk into a courtroom acting like angels, but soon as the judge start talking, all hell break loose? That's exactly what happened the day Tyrone Hodges and his mama walked in, faces tight as Sunday shoes, eyes full of questions and hurt. Judge said, "You may be seated." And baby, the tension in that room, you could slice it with a butter knife. Tyrone looked over at Kristina Willard, that girl sitting all dolled up, lips trembling but chin high. She wasn't alone either. Her mama sat right beside her, clutching that handbag like it held the Holy Ghost. Now see, Tyrone was there because he said Kristina was a liar and a cheater. He claimed that baby she birthed, Lil Lillian, wasn't his. Said she had been running around with more men than a discount barbershop. And Auntie Mae ain't one to gossip, but child, what came next had that whole courtroom saying, "Lord have mercy." Judge turned to Tyrone first. "Mr. Hodges, why do you believe Miss Willard is a liar and a cheater?" Tyrone's jaw got tight. "Because, Your Honor, I caught her. She had another man hiding in her mama's room. Said it was just a friend, but when I walked in, that man was crouched behind the door like a scared raccoon." The audience gasped. Kristina rolled her eyes, tried to play it cool, but you could see her hand shaking. She said, "He was just a childhood friend. I didn't tell Tyrone 'cause he gets jealous. I ain't want no fight." Now, baby, that would have been believable if it ended there. But then Tyrone's mama, Miss Blevins, she leaned forward and said, "Your Honor, my son was engaged to that girl. Engaged, and she had a whole husband we ain't even know about." Child, the courtroom hollered like somebody dropped a gospel record. Judge Lake said, "So, Miss Willard, you were married while engaged to another man?" Kristina blinked twice, looked down, and whispered, "Yes, Your Honor." Honey, Auntie almost dropped her fan. The judge just leaned back and said, "Well, that explains the hidden men and the confusion." But Tyrone wasn't done. He turned toward Kristina and said, voice breaking like a tired heart, "I loved you, girl. I was planning a wedding, not a war. You lied to me, to my mama, and now you say that baby's mine?" You could feel the silence. Even the bailiff stopped breathing. Kristina wiped a tear, said soft, "Because she is yours, Tyrone. I know I messed up, but I ain't lying about my baby." And right then, you could see both mamas, one full of fire, the other full of shame. Miss Blevins just shook her head. "Your Honor, she's hiding something. That baby was born early, but the math don't add up." The judge nodded slow, eyes moving from one to the other. "Well, looks like the only thing that can settle this is the DNA test." And baby, you could have heard that phrase echo across the room like a church bell, because that's when truth decided it was going to show up and take a seat. Auntie Mae leaned back in her chair. Looks like somebody's lies just walked into judgment. Now, baby, after that judge dropped the words DNA test, everybody in that courtroom sat up straight. You could feel the air change, thick with secrets, lies, and somebody's cheap perfume. Judge looked at Kristina again, calm but sharp, like a mother who already know her child lying. "Ms. Willard," she said, "tell this court about that man your fiancé found hiding in your mama's bedroom." And baby, Kristina's eyes went left, right, then straight to the floor. "Your Honor," she said, soft, "he was just a friend from way back. I ain't want no argument with Tyrone. That's why I told him to stay out of sight." Now I'm sitting there like, girl, you hit a whole man in the closet and called it peacekeeping? That's like telling your husband you only burned dinner because you was saving electricity. It don't make no sense, baby.
But Tyrone's mama, Miss Blevins, she wasn't having it. She leaned forward with her church hat tilting like it was ready for battle. "Your Honor," she said, "that girl ain't just sneaky, she practiced at it. She been cheating on my boy since the start, always hiding her phone, locking it, whispering in corners." And then she pulled out her receipts. Child, Miss Blevins had printouts. She passed them straight to the bailiff like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. Judge Lake flipped through them papers, lips pursed, eyes wide. "Miss Blevins, these are text messages?" "Yes, Your Honor," she said, proud. "From the other man, the one that was at the hospital when the baby was born." Now you could hear gas all over the courtroom. Cause how you explain another man holding your baby before your fiancé even gets the news she's here? Judge read out loud. "We got together June 2nd last year. She said she was still engaged, but we were seeing each other anyway." And Miss Blevins said real calm, "See, Your Honor, she cheated on both of them. She lied to my son and that man." Kristina's mama tried to step in. "Your Honor, she didn't mean no harm. She just didn't want to hurt nobody." The judge gave her that look. You know, that southern mama look to say, "I'm about to correct you real polite like. Ma'am, hiding one man while engaged to another isn't avoiding hurt, that's stacking it." The room went quiet. Even Kristina's baby started cooing in the back like she was trying to testify. Then Tyrone stood up. Couldn't take it no more. "She was married too, Your Honor. Whole husband I ain't even know about until after the engagement." Child, you could have sworn someone dropped a frying pan in that courtroom. The judge blinked like, "Lord, what kind of triangle is this?" Kristina whispered, "Yes, Your Honor, I was married, but it was over. We were separated." "You were separated?" the judge said. "Legally divorced?" "No, ma'am, but emotionally, yes." Now, baby, that line right there, that's why Auntie Mae had to clutch her pearls, because you can't be emotionally divorced when the law still say you somebody's wife. The judge sighed. "So, you were married, engaged to another man, hiding a third one, and now you claim this baby belongs to Mr. Hodges." And Kristina just nodded, tears falling slow like she run out of excuses. "Yes, Your Honor, he's the father. I know it in my heart." And Tyrone looked at her like every piece of him was breaking. "Girl, I don't even know who you are anymore." Now, baby, when a man say that, that's not anger. That's heartbreak with a bow on it. Judge Lake leaned back, looked at both mamas, and said, "We gonna get to the truth one way or another. Mr. Jerome, please prepare the DNA results." And baby, that's when you knew next time they walk in, somebody's world was gonna crumble.
Now, child, that courtroom was quieter than a church after a bad sermon. You could feel the shame hanging in the air. Tyrone looking like his whole world tilted sideways. And Kristina, well, she was sitting there dabbing them crocodile tears with a tissue that'd been through too much. Judge Lake folded her hands, leaned forward, and said, "Miss Willard, when exactly did you find out you were pregnant?" Kristina sniffed. "Around Christmas, Your Honor. Maybe a little after." "And when did you tell Mr. Hodges?" "When I was about 8 months pregnant." Now, baby, the judge looked up so slow it gave everybody chills. 8 months? So you carried that child almost full term before telling the man you claim is the father. And Kristina just nodded, voice small. "I didn't want to cause no trouble, Your Honor. He had gotten married by then." Now, see, that's when Miss Blevins leaned over to her son and said under her breath, "Trouble? Girl, you are the trouble." But baby, the judge wasn't done. She said, "Miss Willard, when you told him you were pregnant, what did you say exactly?" "I told him the doctor said I was 8 months along and the baby would be due in July." Now, Auntie Mae had to clutch her pearls because the baby was already born in May. That's right, sugar. 2 months before the due date she was texting about. Miss Blevins stood up quick. "Your Honor, I got proof of that lie right here."
She handed over a phone, screen glowing bright with the receipts. The judge scrolled through and read out loud. May 27, 8:25 a.m. Miss Hodges asks, "How's the baby doing?" Miss Willard replies, "She's okay. Her lungs ain't fully developed yet. Doctor says she due in July." The judge blinked. "Miss Willard, that text says your baby wasn't due till July, but court records show the baby was born May 23rd. The audience gasped so loud even the bailiff flinched. Kristina stammered, I just didn't want him to know right away. He's married now and I didn't want to ruin that." Baby, the judge leaned back in her chair and gave her that look of holy disappointment. "Ma'am, you weren't protecting anyone's peace. You were protecting your lies." Child, that courtroom went still. All you could hear was paper rustling and one baby crying in the back like she knew her mama done told one story too many. Tyrone finally spoke up, voice cracking just a bit. "So you lied about the pregnancy, the dates, the men. What am I supposed to believe now?" Kristina's mama wiped her own eyes and whispered, "Baby girl, you digging a hole too deep for me to pull you out of." And the judge said gently, "Miss Willard, I can see something deeper going on here. Why all the lies? Why the secrets?" And Kristina's voice broke. "I just wanted a family, Your Honor. I never had one that stayed. Tyrone made me feel safe, and when I lost him, I just wanted to keep a piece of him." Now, baby, Auntie Mae gonna tell you the truth. That moment right there, it was heartbreak wrapped in honesty. 'Cause sometimes folks lie, not because they evil, but because they desperate to be loved. Judge Lake sighed and said, "Well, love without truth can't build nothing that lasts. And right now, we need to build clarity, not confusion." Then she looked over at the bailiff and said, "Jerome, we're going to move to the paternity results next. But before that, I want both families to take a breath." And baby, when she said that, it felt like she was talking to us all. 'Cause this wasn't just about DNA anymore. It was about truth, pride, and one young woman's broken dream of family. Now, baby, let Auntie Mae paint the picture for you. That courtroom was sitting in silence, the kind that hums. You could feel every lie, every tear, every piece of pride hanging heavy in the air. Even the judge took a deep breath before speaking. "All right, Mr. Jerome," she said softly. "Bring me those DNA results." Child, when that bailiff walked across the floor with that envelope, you could have heard his shoes click like church heels on Sunday tile. He handed it over, and the judge held it like it weighed 100 pounds of truth. Before she opened it, she looked straight at Tyrone. "Mr. Hodges," she said softly, "how do you feel right now?" He stared down at his hands, voice low. "Your Honor, I feel betrayed, but I still love that little girl. I've been holding her, feeding her. She look at me like she know I'm her daddy." Then she turned to Kristina. "And you, Miss Willard?" Her lip quivered. "I just want peace, Your Honor. I want my baby to know her daddy. I don't want no more hurt." Now, Auntie Mae done lived long enough to know that everybody say they want peace. But baby, peace can't grow where lies been planted. Judge Lake nodded slow, tore open that envelope, and pulled out them results. You could see Tyrone's mama grab his hand, knuckles tight like she was holding on to a prayer. The judge read, "In the case of Hodges versus Willard, when it comes to 1-month-old baby Lillian, honey, the whole room leaned forward. Even the baby got quiet. It has been determined by this court that Mr. Hodges, you are the father." And just like that, baby, time stopped. You could hear Kristina's sobs burst out like floodgates opening. She covered her face, mumbling, "Thank you, Lord. I told y'all. I told y'all."
Tyrone's shoulders dropped, not from shock, but from something heavier. He looked down at his lap, whispering, I wanted it to be mine. I just wish it hadn't come with all these lies. Now, baby, let me tell you, that hit harder than a thunderclap. 'Cause sometimes the truth don't free you. It just changed the kind of cage you sitting in. The judge gave a soft smile. Well, Mr. Hodges, now you know. You're the father. But more importantly, that little girl has two parents who need to grow up for her sake. Then she turned to Kristina. Miss Willard, you've been dishonest, but today you faced your truth. That's your first step towards being a mother who can teach honesty. Miss Blevins was crying too now, them tears that come when relief meets exhaustion. Your Honor, I just wanted to know if this was my grandbaby. That's all I ever needed to hear. And the judge, in her motherly voice, said, Well, ma'am, you got your answer. Now go love that baby the best way you know how. Then she turned to both of them, said softly, Y'all been through a storm, but storms don't come to drown us. They come to clear the air. And honey, Auntie Mae whispered right along with her, Amen to that, Judge. 'Cause sometimes the rain ain't punishment, it's a cleanse. The gavel dropped. Court was adjourned. And as Tyrone and Kristina stood up, you could see the weight lift, not gone, but lighter. Like two people who finally knew what they had to carry. Now, baby, the gavel had dropped, but nobody moved right away. You could still feel the truth hanging in the air, like thunder after lightning. Kristina still had tears streaking her cheeks. Tyrone's mama was holding her Bible tight, and Tyrone himself, well, he looked like a man standing in two worlds, one where he lost trust and one where he gained a daughter. Judge Lake leaned forward one last time and said, Before y'all leave this courtroom, I want to tell you something. You both dropped out of high school. Neither one of you got your GED, but we gonna change that. 'Cause you got a child who's gonna look up to you. And knowledge, baby, that's the first step to breaking any curse. You could see the shock on their faces. That judge wasn't just passing judgment. She was handing out a second chance. Kristina nodded, whispering, Yes, Your Honor. Tyrone said quiet, I'll do it. For my daughter. And right then, Auntie Mae swore she saw a flicker. Not just guilt or grief, but hope. 'Cause sometimes folks gotta hit rock bottom before they realize they still standing on a seed. The bailiff opened the doors and that little family walked out slow. Reporters was gone, cameras was off, but life was still rolling. Tyrone walked Kristina out the courthouse, didn't say much, just stared at the sky like he was waiting for an answer from somewhere higher. She finally whispered, I never meant to hurt you. He didn't look at her. Yeah, well, you did. But that baby didn't. And she deserved better than this mess we made. Baby, right there, that was growth peeping through heartbreak. They reached the parking lot and Miss Blevins walked up, eyes red but soft. I ain't gonna lie, girl, she said to Kristina. I had you praying and cussing at the same time. But that's my grandbaby. You hear me? Whatever we gotta do, we gonna raise her in truth, not confusion. Kristina nodded slow. Yes, ma'am. I just want a fresh start. Now, Auntie Mae knows fresh starts don't come with no magic button. They come with hard days, awkward silences, and a whole lot of forgiveness folks ain't ready to give yet. A few weeks later, Tyrone went to visit little Lillian at Kristina's mama house. The baby was sleeping in her crib, tiny fingers curling like she was already dreaming of peace. He picked her up real gentle, looked down and said, You got your mama's eyes, but Lord, I hope you got my honesty. Kristina stood in the doorway, just watching. No words, just a tear that fell slow like a full stop on the sentence of her lies.
Outside, the world kept turning. Neighbors laughing, cars passing, life going on. But for that family, something had shifted. The storm didn't destroy them, it cleaned them. And as Auntie Mae said, sitting on my porch later that evening, sometimes God let the whole world see your dirty laundry, not to shame you, but to show you that cleaning it up is still possible. Now, baby, it's a week after that courtroom dust settled, and Auntie Mae been sitting out on her porch ever since, watching that same sun rise and fall, thinking on what she saw that day. I tell you, sometimes life don't break you to punish you. It breaks you to open you. And that's what I saw happen to that young couple, Tyrone, Kristina, and that little baby, Lillian. See, they walked into that courtroom carrying more secrets than truth. And they walked out carrying one tiny piece of honesty wrapped in a blanket. That's what the truth do, baby. It strip you down till you got nothing left but your real self. I remember sitting there in that back row thinking, how many of us spend half our lives hiding things we could have just faced and fixed? We lie to protect what we don't even own anymore. We call it love. But love without truth, that's just a slow heartbreak wearing perfume. Now Tyrone, that boy got a good heart, even after it been bruised up. He started his GED classes like the judge said. Miss Blevins told me he go every Thursday night. Said he's learning more about himself than them textbooks. And Kristina, baby, she been real quiet lately, working double shifts, keeping that baby close. Her mama says she don't answer her phone after 8 p.m. no more. That's what you call growth with boundaries. You don't fix the past, but it sure keep the future from looking the same. Now, Auntie Mae ain't no saint, but I've seen enough to know this. The truth gon' find you. You can hide it, bury it, lock it up behind closed doors, but baby, the truth got keys you ain't never seen. It'll show up when the lights come on and the judge say you may be seated. And that baby, little Lillian, she the reason they all got a second chance. 'Cause sometimes God send the lesson in the smallest package. One smile, one coo, one pair of eyes that don't know nothing but love. She don't care about no lies and no past. She just reach up expecting someone to hold her. That's what family's supposed to do. Not be perfect, not pretend, just hold each other anyway. So if you sitting out there listening to Auntie Mae right now, hold this with you. Don't wait for a courtroom to call your truth out loud. Sit with it, own it, and let it free you before life does it for you. Now go on, wipe them tears and pass that sugar bowl. 'Cause baby, even after a storm like that, the porch still smell like peace. Child, that one had my heart twisting like a clothesline in the wind. But if this story touched you, if it made you feel something real deep, don't you just sit there quiet now, baby. Go on and hit that like button. Let Auntie know you still riding with the truth. Drop a comment down below. Tell me what you would have done if you was Tyrone. And don't forget to subscribe to Whispers of Auntie Mae. 'Cause baby, every week we pour another cup of tea and tell another story that'll shake your soul and make you think twice. 'Cause around here we don't just tell stories, we testify.